There is evidence that Ashkenazi Jews, so those are Jews of European heritage, have IQs that are about 15 points higher than the population average. What that means is that if you go up into the higher IQ strata, 130, 145, way the hell up there, that Jewish people are overwhelmingly overrepresented at the high end of the IQ distribution. Now, the price they pay for that is some increased propensity for neurological diseases that seems to be associated in some sense with that heightened IQ. Now, the science on this isn't settled, but it's reasonably solid, given the standards of such things. Okay, so Jews are going to be overrepresented at the high end of cognitively complex disciplines. So then I would say, and that's the case, like they're way overrepresented among like outstanding scientists and among Nobel Prize winners and so forth. And so, people look and they think, well, why are there a disproportionate number of Jewish people in positions of authority? And they say, well, it must be a conspiracy. It must be systemic in some sense. It's like, no, it can be simply accounted for by that relatively large IQ differential. Now, the next criticism would be, well, don't the Jews tend to lean left? Well, first you might say, well, given what happened in Nazi Germany, to the degree that that was right wing, as we discussed earlier, that's the nationalism and ethnocentrism, it's hardly surprising that they might, in this historical period of time, tend to move towards the left. The fact that there's a population, a subpopulation of people who are much smarter than average, not on average, right? On average, you got to get that straight. On average is actually of great benefit to the rest of us, because what do you want? Fewer geniuses? Fewer people with IQs of 145 or 160? And it's no conspiracy that puts people who are smarter higher up in competence hierarchies, because IQ is the best predictor of movement up in a complex competence hierarchy. So there, I've addressed the Jewish question.